The world watched in disbelief. Headlines screamed of an unprecedented event. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, had ceased to exist. The alliance, a cornerstone of global security for over 70 years, had vanished overnight. But how could such a thing happen? What would the world look like without NATO? The answers, as we'll explore, are complex and deeply unsettling. This isn't about predicting the future, it's about understanding the stakes. NATO's collapse would send shockwaves across the globe, fundamentally altering the geopolitical landscape. It's a scenario we can't ignore. The world held its breath, bracing for the aftershocks of a world plunged into uncertainty. To understand the gravity of a world without NATO, we must first understand what NATO is and the role it has played in shaping global security. Formed in 1949, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a political and military alliance of 30 countries from North America and Europe, united by a common goal. Its founding principle is enshrined in Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty. An attack on one member is an attack on all, ensuring mutual defense. This principle of collective defense has been the bedrock of NATO's strength, deterring aggression and ensuring the security of its members for decades, fostering a sense of unity and shared responsibility. NATO's role has evolved over time, adapting to new global challenges and threats. From its origins as a bulwark against Soviet expansionism, it played a crucial role in stabilizing post-Cold War Europe and combating terrorism in the 21st century, showcasing its versatility. Beyond military might, NATO stands as a symbol of shared values, democracy, freedom, and the rule of law, promoting these ideals globally. Its existence has fostered cooperation and dialogue, preventing conflicts and promoting peace, acting as a mediator in international disputes. The alliance, however, is not without its critics, facing scrutiny and opposition from various quarters. Some argue that it's a relic of the Cold War, while others criticize its interventions in places like Libya and Afghanistan, questioning its modern relevance. Nevertheless, NATO remains a vital force for global stability, and its absence would leave a void difficult, if not impossible, to fill, underscoring its enduring importance in today's world. Imagine a world where the familiar security blanket of NATO suddenly vanishes. No more Article 5, no more collective defense, no more unified front against potential adversaries. This is the stark reality of a world without NATO. The reasons for such a collapse could be manifold. Internal divisions, economic crises, or a calculated move by a hostile power could all contribute to NATO's demise. Regardless of the cause, the impact would be immediate and profound. Trust, painstakingly built over decades, would erode, replaced by suspicion and uncertainty. The collapse of NATO would signal a paradigm shift in international relations. The old rules, the established norms, would no longer apply. We would be entering uncharted territory, a world where the potential for miscalculation and conflict would be dramatically amplified. The immediate aftermath of NATO's collapse would be characterized by a global security crisis. With no collective defense mechanism, countries would be left to fend for themselves, dramatically increasing the risk of conflict. Eastern European nations, once shielded by NATO's umbrella, would feel particularly vulnerable. The Baltic states, with their proximity to Russia, would be on high alert, fearing a potential resurgence of Russian assertiveness. The fragile peace in the Balkans could be shattered as historical tensions resurface in the absence of a stabilizing NATO presence. But the impact wouldn't be confined to Europe. The collapse of NATO would embolden authoritarian regimes worldwide. It would signal that the West, once a guarantor of the liberal world order, was in retreat. This could lead to increased aggression and instability in regions like the South China Sea and the Middle East. Section 5, Every Nation for Itself, a World of Isolationism. Faced with a world without NATO, individual countries would grapple with how to ensure their own security. Some might choose to bolster their military capabilities, triggering a global arms race. Others might retreat into isolationism, withdrawing from international commitments and focusing on domestic security. This inward-looking approach could further fragment the international system, hindering cooperation on pressing global challenges like climate change and pandemics. The potential for miscalculation and conflict would be high. Without the established channels of communication and conflict resolution provided by NATO, misunderstandings could quickly escalate into full-blown crises. The world would become a more dangerous and unpredictable place. Section 6. A new world order forging alliances in the chaos. The collapse of NATO wouldn't necessarily mean the end of alliances. In fact, it could be the beginning of a new era of strategic partnerships. In the ensuing vacuum, new partnerships would emerge, driven by necessity and shared interests. Countries would be compelled to find new allies to ensure their security and economic stability. Some countries might seek strength in numbers, forming regional security pacts. These pacts could be based on geographical proximity or common threats. We could see the rise of a European Union defense force, a unified military presence to protect the continent, or a coalition of Asian nations seeking to counterbalance China's growing influence, creating a new power dynamic in the region. These new alliances, however, would likely be characterized by shifting loyalties and a lack of the shared history and values that underpinned NATO. Trust would be a rare commodity. The potential for negative alliances is also a real concern. These could destabilize regions and lead to conflicts. Authoritarian regimes, emboldened by the West's perceived weakness, might forge their own partnerships, creating blocs that oppose democratic ideals. Challenging the existing world order and threatening democratic values, these alliances could lead to a more fragmented and volatile global landscape. The world could witness a return to great power competition reminiscent of the Cold War era. With blocs vying for influence and resources, the geopolitical landscape would be more complex and unpredictable than ever before. Section 7. The economic fallout, a world on the brink. The geopolitical fallout from NATO's collapse would be inseparable from its economic consequences. The uncertainty and instability would send shockwaves through global markets, triggering economic turmoil. The immediate impact would be felt in defense spending. Countries forced to reassess their security needs would likely increase their military budgets, diverting resources from other sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. This could lead to slower economic growth and increased social inequality. Trade relationships, already strained, could further deteriorate. The collapse of NATO might lead to the fragmentation of global supply chains as countries prioritize national security over economic efficiency. This could result in higher prices for consumers and shortages of essential goods. In a world grappling with the interconnected challenges of the 21st century, such economic disruption would have far-reaching and devastating consequences. Section 8. The high cost of division, a plea for cooperation. The hypothetical collapse of NATO serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of global cooperation. It underscores how vital it is for nations to work together, not just in times of crisis, but consistently to maintain a stable and secure world order. While the alliance has faced its share of criticism and challenges, its role in maintaining stability and deterring conflict for over 70 years cannot be overstated. The collective security it provides has been a cornerstone of international peace. In an increasingly interconnected world, the challenges we face, from climate change to pandemics to terrorism, transcend national borders. These issues require a united front, as no single nation can tackle them alone. Addressing these challenges effectively requires collaboration, dialogue, and a shared commitment to multilateralism. Only through working together can we hope to find sustainable solutions. The collapse of NATO would be a setback for global cooperation, making it even harder to find common ground on these pressing issues. It would signal a retreat into isolationism and division. The world without NATO is a world of uncertainty, division, and heightened risk. It is a scenario where mistrust and conflict could easily escalate. It is a world we must strive to avoid. We must remember the lessons of history and the cost of division. Instead of allowing divisions to fester, we must work to strengthen the institutions that bind us together, promote dialogue, and build a more peaceful and cooperative future. This requires effort, understanding, and a willingness to compromise. The alternative is too grim to contemplate. We must choose cooperation over conflict, unity over division, and peace over war.